Hey everybody, we are live on YouTube and we have Dave Boyd and Dan Gruters from the Nissan Nation Podcast joining us tonight. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic, my brother.
Good. So Dave is in his normal studio with his cool Nissan skateboard up on the wall. You guys have seen that a billion times. And Dan decided to rub it in our face that he's got a race truck in his garage. And he's sitting out in his garage in the race truck so we can see the roll bar and everything, making us.
I have a dirt bike. I have a dirt bike in my garage. So
You should go sit on it and record from the dirt bike every week. Put like a GoPro.
That's a good idea. I'll just ride it upstairs into the bedroom. Down it.
That's your next viral video right there, guys.
Oh man! Well, if you've seen Matt,
he's breaking my neck riding a dirt bike in my house.
Matt's house.
I want to see him ride down the stairs.
Well, Matt's stairs have a 90-degrry turn halfway up. I want to see him navigate that piece of it. If it was just straight stairs, I'd say he could do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
So if you guys
there used to be carpet right here.
Right. If you guys aren't already following the Nissan Nation guys, you can find them at nissannationpodcast.com. On YouTube, there's both the Nissan Nation Productions page and the Dagroot X page to go see what Dan's doing. They are on Patreon. Just search Nissan Nation Podcast, and on Instagram at Nissan Nation Productions. So guys, you've been doing this a while. I mean, it's how long? When did you guys start the Nissan Nation stuff?
I think there was dinosaurs walking the earth, if I remember right. It seems like forever.
Yeah, let's see, January of 2015.
Wow.
So we've been doing it quite a while.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And so if I could ask, of all the vehicles in the world, of all the manufacturers in the world, you've got Citroen, you've got Peugeot, you've got Yugo. You guys chose.
When are you going to actually name real manufacturers?
When did we go European?
Those are all. What? And we are fans of Nissan. Maybe some of us are more fans than others, but I'm a fan of Nissan. Seriously, in all honesty, what made you choose the Nissan platform?
Well, let's see. So I've been on forums forever, and I started my own forum called Nissan Nation. Then I started a few others, and just Facebook started killing forums, and I was like, man, there's a way to get the kind of word out. And when I started forums, the intent was to do a podcast, but and I'm a musician, didn't know how to ever get audio to the internet. So through owning my forum, I met Dan, and Dan had started up an off-road company called Xterra Performance, and it we both needed to feed off each other a little bit. I needed his rep a little bit. He needed my rep a little bit. Mm-hmm. And from there, we've just been buddies ever since. And Dan, kind of, how did we meet?
So, yeah, I fell into Nissan. I was a Ford guy for a long time. Then I was a BMW mechanic. And for all of MAR listeners, that means you have to drink.
Yeah,
so I'm all over the place. But Nissan was an accident for me. I met Dave when I bought, so this truck right here, I had bought on the internet. It was still a good truck. It didn't look like this. It was a nice Xterra. It had been Titan swapped. It was something that I found on the internet. And so and this guy lived in Tennessee. And I messaged Dave. We had corresponded a little bit here and there at the time. This was way before the podcast, right, Dave?
Yeah. We did business together. Like, you were a sponsor on the forum a little bit.
Yeah, it sponsored some forum stuff. But I messaged him and I said, hey, do you know about this guy? He's selling this truck. I had got rid of my first Xterra, which was kind of an opportunity purchase. But that was when I first got a vehicle. I had bought it on basically because it was something to off-road I could stick my daughter in. Because I had a truck and it's kind of a boring story there. But this one, I was like, this is a cool truck. I need it. I had sold my other truck and I was ready to go for like the second generation Xterra. I finally realized there was mad power in this thing, right?
Well, it was an off-road, so it had the locker and everything.
Yeah, it had the locker, it was Titan swapped. It was pretty cool. I talked the wife into it. And while I'm talking the wife into it, I'm like, by the way, this truck is on the other side of the United States, And I basically bought the truck through, like, it was a YouTube video, or not a YouTube. It was like some cell phone video of the truck and a bunch of pictures. And I told the guy, I'm like, well, it came down to the fact that I think he he sent me the pink slip. Like I paid him. He sent me the pink slip, and I flew out to Tennessee. Dave met me at the airport because I was like, dude, if this truck sucks or if there's something shady going on, I'm totally effed. Because part of this plan was I was gonna pick up this truck, drive to Gone Moab, which is a huge Nissan off-road trip. I was gonna spend a week, and I was a sponsor of this event. I was gonna spend a week off-roading with this truck and then drive it back to California. So I drove out, or I flew out to Tennessee, picked up the truck, and like I walked into the, me and Dave were like, hey, high five, cool, what's up? Hey, nice to meet you, And then we walked over to the car and I started it up and I'm like, it's good, bro. It's good.
He was totally panicked too. Like when I met him at the airport,
about it.
he just got off the plane.
I can imagine.
There was nervousness in his face. Like Danny was like a little shaken, like, man, I hope this was a good deal. And luckily I had wheeled with this truck before, so I kind of had a little bit of an idea of it, which helped. And I was like, I took off work. I was like, I got to meet Gruters, man. He's like, even on forums, you could just tell there was something fun about
I
Danny.
just started becoming the big deal. No, but the thing was, is I kind of had like this trip was, it was the quintessential, like, there are so many things that could go wrong, but I'm going to roll the dice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an epic trip because from Dave's, I drove up to Chicago to meet an old Air Force buddy. And what was this, Dave? Like 2007, 8, 9? I don't remember exactly.
No, this would have been like, 13, I think, somewhere in there. We've known each other for a while.
It was before that. It was way before that. I was deployed in like 20. Anyway, whatever year it was. So I drove up to Chicago to meet an Air Force buddy.
From Tennessee?
From Tennessee. And here's the thing. I picked up the truck thinking for some reason I Googled it and thought that it was like a 2-hour drive.
Yeah. Danny's not good with directions.
Wow. Oh, you got one of those
terrible. And so I bombed through the night to Chicago. And
They didn't have Google Maps back then? I mean,
I'm telling you, I don't know what I did, but I clicked the wrong button or something. I think I was more excited about the truck than anything. But I drove to Chicago. It took
2 hours
long
with the SR-71.
Exactly. It was a long trip. I will say, it blew my mind because semis were passing me at like 80 miles per hour. And in Southern California, semis are chilling, they're just cruising. But like the semis, there's like 3 of them, like 3 trailers too.
Yeah.
It was blowing my mind. I hadn't been out of Southern California in a while. I've been to Germany, but out into the wilds of the other United States. But I drove up to Chicago, met my cop buddy up there. We go shoot a Tommy gun. We go get some Chicago pizza.
Oh yeah. It gets better.
Oh yeah, dude. And then and like I hadn't seen this guy in years. I'd barely even talked to him, but he was like one of my homies in Germany, in the Air Force, right? So and he's a cop out there, and he shows me some sketchy parts of town. He gives me a Chicago stop sign, which is in my garage right now, randomly. And then I tell him, and I'm all, like at the end of the night, I'm like, man, this is cool. I gotta drive to Moab from here. So I go and I'm thinking like, man, maybe I can make some extra gas money. This trip's gonna be expensive, So I go on Craigslist and I'm like, hey, does anybody need a ride to like Denver?
Dude,
oh my God.
Hold on. I'm not taking notes fast enough because this is a script for a movie. This is the best.
I'm telling you, this is the trip that could have gone so wrong so many ways. So there's like a couple guys that are like, hey, we need a ride, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Pitch in some gas money and I'll give you a ride to Denver. So, and then they're like, hey, pick us up here. And I tell my cop buddy, he's like, dude, you're going to get mugged because it was like some train station. I didn't know where I was. He's like, that is the sketchiest part of town you could possibly go to.
Here, take the Tommy gun.
Yeah. He's like, dude, if you want me to go with you, I'm like, it's like 6 a.m. So I show up at this McDonald's next to this Metrolink or whatever. And there's just like homeless, like there's just some sketchy people wandering around, twitching and stuff. Some zombies, you know what I'm talking about. You've been to LA. There's some zombies walking around. And
I'm related to a lot of zombies. So just tread lightly, sir.
I have a zombie son. I adopted it. That's a whole other story. Anyhow, so out walk these guys, and like I'm like, hey, are you guys the ones? And it is straight like 3 of the most like we have been smoking and toking all of our lives. Like one dude's got a patchouli oil, like the quintessential long hair.
Yes.
And it's 3 guys, right?
So you felt right at home. You were like,
these are my peeps. These are my peeps.
Yeah. And like one dude had a guitar like on his like
of course
his hemp satchel. So I drove those dudes to us. So we drove from there to Iowa, where I was going to meet up with this convoy of Nissan people. So from Chicago to Iowa, I was like, that was the sketchy part. It was just me. I knew once I got to Iowa, I had some like foreign buddies. We were going to kind of convoy out to Gon Moab for this big event. And the patchouli oil guy, like they were exactly what they were, dude. I mean, just, oh yeah, man, this truck is cool. What are you doing? You know, I mean, that was the vibe the entire time. So it was chill. Like they were fairly harmless. You know, I told him, I'm like, hey, listen, I got a big knife. I'm going to stab you if you do anything. I'm like, let's just make it clear that like, I'm not going to put up with some crazy. And I said, if you have weed, I'm like, I'm in the Air Force. If you have weed and I get pulled over, I will literally kill you. I'm like, right now, just be straight with me. I'm like, don't have weed on you. And they're like, actually, bro, we smoked it all, and that's why we're going back to Denver, dude. We got to pack back up. And this is like right after Colorado got the new weed. I'm sorry I'm hijacking for this story, but this is like
the best.
No, this is good.
Story. So we get to this big meetup, right? And I kind of knew a couple of these guys from a previous trip or whatever, and I kind of knew some. And we meet at the biggest gas station in the world, and my buddies walk over to me and they're like, dude, who are these guys? I'm like, oh, those are just some dudes I'm giving a ride with. And they're like, oh, okay, because we didn't put 2 together. We're like, who are the F are you? Like, these shouldn't be your friends. Like, we don't know what's going on.
I think that's judgmental, and I don't really like that.
You know what? People
You
say
should
that.
not be your who are you?
People say
Tell
that
me
to
what
me.
kind of friend.
People say
These
that to me
dudes turned
all
out-
the time when I hang out with Matt and Jose, and I just don't think
Yeah,
it's
Cody
right.
gets that all the time.
Judgy, right? Why are you judging me, bro? But they ended up being the chillest dudes. I think the only story and the only thing I like truly remember. By the way, one dude totally had dreads, like blonde dreads.
Oh yeah.
The one dude that
I
was
already
in the
pictured
back
him with
seat,
dreads,
or,
yeah.
or the 2 dudes that were in the back seats. The one dude was so hot. I think he just like smashed a laced bowl before he went on the trip, and he was high the entire time. I think he was so tripped out. Let me just tell you, they did not pitch in for gas like they said. Okay. On top of that,
man.
I ended up buying one of the guys lunch because
Oh,
the other guy was like, dude, this guy's like, I think he's gonna pass out. He hasn't eaten in like 3 days.
Oh,
well, dude,
I
you're
felt
supposed
so
to
bad.
get gas, ass, or grass.
yeah.
One of those three.
They were out of the grass already.
He didn't pitch in
He,
for
yeah,
gas.
he didn't get the grass or the
And I
gas.
didn't want any of that area. You know what I'm saying?
But Danny, what was the payment how did they pay you?
So okay, so we're getting to that. But right before I get to the payment for this trip, the one thing that stands out is, so this one guy, right? He was pretty talkative, but I mean, they were all just kind of like, just deadhead. Like if you were pictured a like just that dude from high school or college or whatever, who was always just like, yeah, man. So I'm just talking to him, and I'm a straight edge dude. I smoked weed like 3 times in my life, and then joined the military. You know, I'm a pretty straight. So I don't know a ton about we'll call it the drug culture, the weed culture, whatever, at the time, especially.
Devil's lettuce.
So I was just like, I was peppering them with questions because I was curious, make it talk. We're on like 11-hour trip right there. And so
So
I was
Danny
like,
thought
took
it was
you 2
3 hour
hours?
trip.
Yeah, exactly. 2 hours to go from Tennessee to Chicago, but somehow it took 13 to go to Iowa. From
Wait,
Chicago.
hold on. If I could just
and,
interrupt for a
and there was
second.
weed involved.
If I could just interrupt for a
That's all
second.
I'm saying.
What I've learned from this conversation so far is me and Danny need to hang out because we get
yes.
lost going everywhere, and neither one of us have any idea what's going on in the drug culture. Man,
Yes.
can you imagine if Danny and I went on a trip? We
Well, we just lost our
never
shows,
see-
guys.
You'd
We
never
just lost
see
our
us again.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Matt, you want to come to the
Tell me.
nation?
We gotta get a shout. That's headed over to Nissan Nation Productions. But, so this guy's. So I don't know anything about earwax, if you will. What is it? What is it really called? Earwax stands.
The resin
Jose,
or whatever.
Jose,
right?
what's he
Resin,
talking
yeah,
about?
I
Yeah.
chose not to say it.
Yeah. I know earwax because it stands out in my mind. I was like, what's the deal with it? I'm like, I don't really understand the process, right? And this guy's like, oh, okay. And then he snaps a switch and he becomes an effing scientist. Oh my God.
Oh,
He like
So-
perks up and he says, oh, you don't know about it? Well, I make that. And then he goes on and he starts talking about, he's like, well, what you have to do is you have to heat it up to 247 degrees. And like,
Centigrade.
oh, dude, I'm telling you, it was like talking to a
Rain Man.
a
Just
savant.
rolled,
There,
he
Danny.
rolled up the entire process, and I'm like, what's going on right now? And then at the end, after he tells me the entire process in a straight, like very scientifical, natural manner, like I was in a clean environment where he was explaining how the lab works, he goes, yeah, and then when you spoke it, that's just so hot. I'm like, what just happened? I lost my mind at that point. I was in tears laughing, and that was I would say that was the most monumental moment of my entire. That was kind of like the entire drive felt like that. It was just this weird situation. And then we get into Denver late night, and this is where they're going, right? And they're texting friends in Denver, hey, where can we meet? Where can you give me a ride into your house or whatever? And they said, okay, drop me off at this because I was meeting my brother lives in Denver, and I was gonna crash there at the night. And I was like, where am I dropping you off, guys? So they're like, oh, drop us off at this hotel parking lot. I'm like, all right, whatever, as long as I get you out of my car. And so I get to this, and they were chill dudes. They were really nice guys. Aside from a little bit of a
You keep like defending them
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah.
like, and I find that odd. Why do you keep? You could have just said
he doesn't-
they're not.
he's
they're not
trying to-
listening.
he's-
I'm pretty sure they're not.
He's trying
Oh,
to
no,
justify it.
we've got a big drug culture show.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
they
trying
love
to-
the Nissan Nation.
He's trying to
Hey,
make
you
it.
can trash this guy if you want.
Well,
or these
no,
dudes.
he's trying to make it seem not so
Pay any
bad.
gas money. You're right. I didn't get any gas money, but let me just tell
They
you.
gave you Bitcoin or something.
No, I got something better. And here's the story is this is the key to the story. I pull up and I'm like, maybe they'll throw me $20 or something for gas. I'm just hoping for the best at this point. I've kind of succumbed to the fact that they're not gonna throw down $100 worth of gas between the three of them. So I pull into this parking lot. It's dark, and I'm like, hopefully they don't try and do some weird stuff. And we get out. I dump all their stuff out, and I'm like, hey man, it was cool. It was chill. I gotta get out of here. It was late too. And this guy's like, oh man, you were so freaking cool, bro. I want to give you something for. He's like, we don't have a lot of money, but I want to give you something that's worth a lot. I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. So this guy rummages in his bag, right? And it's literally like a dark alley parking lot. It's so sketchy, dude. Like I said, there's so many things that could have gone wrong in this situation. And he pulls out 2 rocks.
Oh
And he goes,
no!
these are power rocks, bro. He's like, I found these deep in in the Rocky Mountains when I was out on like a forest quest. And I want you to have them, bro. He's like, this one's a dark onyx, and this one's a whatever. He's like, I just want you to have. These got power, bro. He's like, these things really give you just like an aura that can really do good for you. I was like,
So where do you have those rocks now?
yeah,
On the
no,
race truck, dude.
They're hanging on his neck. He's got a necklace.
I gave one power rock to a very, very good friend of mine, he's now a Toyota guy, so I can't talk to him anymore. Unfortunately, I don't know.
get
Where,
Oh, so
They
they
made him
do
a
work.
Toyota guy. Oh, how dare you, Jose?
and so it immediately fizzled out and lost all its power because it couldn't. The symbiotic relationship couldn't happen. But the other one I kept for myself, and it really is it's a really cool
Yeah,
rock.
it's a cool rock.
And let me just tell you, the mileage that I got from stories, from telling that story and showing the rock and using it for my action suit, which is a whole nother story.
Oh no!
I'll bring it up. You gotta follow the channels and follow us for that. Yeah. But the action, the power rock it's taken on a life of its own with the action suit, and it's done me well over the years.
Dude,
So
I'm gonna say
45
this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
45 minutes later, how we got the podcast started.
I was just looking at. I'm looking at the recording, going, okay, that was 28 minutes or so.
Oh, gold. That's called gold.
But somehow me and Danny get together and these stories like keep getting better and better. And we've done some just stupid from being in the Rockies together.
That's just one of many stories me and Dave have put to, that we have just experienced. There's so many, and like it's just we've had so much fun together over the.
So,
it's a lot of years.
So what you're saying is I need to start picking up hitchhikers, and just so I can get that experience. Either
you'll get your own power rock,
get some kind of power rocks with some kind of powers or abilities that I need or want, or I'll just meet interesting people at the very least. Like,
Right.
dude, we're about to wheel out to Barstow. And maybe there's some characters on Barstow.
Oh yeah, and I only picked up one hitchhiker since then, and I'm Dutch and he was Dutch, and the only reason I picked him up was because he was wearing some really good shoes and he had a very expensive backpack, and I didn't know he was Dutch, but I said, next time I pick up a hitchhiker, I'm gonna analyze them a little bit better before I do.
Can you guys imagine Danny as a grandpa? Because he's gonna be like, you only picked up people from the Dutch. They've got rocks hanging off them.
Can I?
Yeah,
he seems like the greatest grandpa of all time.
No, what I took from that was like he's like after that whole 20-minute story and power rocks, he said, I only picked up another hitchhiker one more time, meaning he didn't learn the lesson the first time. So I'm curious to know how many dumb decisions Danny has made multiple times.
He was hoping to get another power rock from he had lost his power rock.
My life is a bunch of wild decisions that ended up well. That's literally my life in a nutshell.
Wow. Oh man!
That's great.
Kudos to you for having the for going on a
granola bars, sir,
and picking up random deadheads to take to Denver. That seems absolutely insane. I would never do that. I would absolutely never do that.
Sometimes I just throw caution to the wind.
Oh, it seems
like
to
when
have,
I met Dave.
It seems to have worked.
Sometimes.
Well, so you guys started this in 2015, you said, and you're 105 episodes in on the podcast.
Right, and that's probably where it's going to be for a while.
Well, so that was going to be
because we found something called YouTube.
Yeah, so it seems like you guys have made.
Why not just upload your podcast to YouTube?
Hey, we don't do common sense here. Clearly,
we're not here to judge. We're not here to judge. I was asking because
no, I'm not judging either. I'm just saying, like, why not do both?
Well, so what's talk to me about the transition from the Nissan Nation podcast to Nissan Nation Productions on YouTube.
Well, there's a thing called money. And we like those things.
Oh, we don't have that here. we don't have that here.
Can you say that? Can you?
What is that?
Yes, exactly.
Hippies don't give, and neither does our podcast.
Can you use it in a sentence?
We run off power rocks here. I don't know what you guys.
We have no money. No, what really, like, cars are audio, like for audio, and I know you guys do well with the audio side. For us, we're already kind of behind the eight ball being Nissan fans. And that's just that's the truth, man. If we were a Toyota show, like, it would take off and do well. And so our audience kind of like, they'll listen to us, and we've got a good average of listeners that way. But for one, it was getting kind of boring, honestly. I mean, there's only so many numbers of cars, Nissan you can talk about. Clearly they don't release a Frontier, but every, when the stars are in line with Jupiter and
once a millennium.
When the power rock starts glowing, that's when the release of the Frontiers and then
dark. It's real dark for real long.
So they don't, as far as the off-roading, which me and Danny's backroading is off-roading a lot, but we do love cars. But it's just there was not a lot to just talk about. And we both have interesting cars, whether Danny has the race truck that he's been documenting or just his red Frontier. I'm always trying to find some stupid Nissan like a Juke or something to modify and just have fun with. So visually it's easier to do. People, you can hold people's attention a lot longer visually. Like this show here, I'm sure, you know, people, they want to see how it works. They want to see the inner workings. And it was either I devote my time to producing a podcast, which, you know, edits aren't super hard, but some shows are clearly, you can hear Danny going off on a tangent. Some shows are a little easier than others. And we just decided to say, screw it. Let's go where the money is, basically. And that sounds greedy, and it's not by any means, because we did 5 years and lost a lot of money.
Oh yeah, no,
on the audio side. So it's like, let's go make some money.
Well, and I don't think I'm sure there's people probably don't realize the amount of investment in both time and financial commitments to produce a weekly or a regular podcast. I mean, it is, you know, you're in the hole no matter what, right? So I can totally understand that piece of it. And, you know, we've kind of done the same thing. We started doing the live stream as a compliment to the podcast, and I don't know where that's going to go. But I'm really enjoying doing the live stream and the video stuff. And like this stuff, the way we have it set up now with everybody doing the video chat and being able to talk to people. I mean, I go back to earlier conversations where we were just on the phone with people. It's not quite the same as being able to at least see people and laugh and joke and, you know, hand gestures and what have you. So
I want to see you pick your nose.
Yes.
I want to see you like, you know, scratch yourself.
Well,
You want to see
honest-
the cup drinking ice out of, you know?
honestly, a lot of our
Just hearing it.
interviews were done like this anyways. So why not just take it to the next level and let people see what's going on? And I think our live Sunday show that we do, that's the most fun I think I've had, Danny, really doing, other than the technical hiccups we've had every once in a while. Just to be able to
figuring the ironing out process.
yeah. But to get to like your fans and stuff, to get to communicate with them, and they can ask questions in real time, and it's not a month later they get their answer.
Yeah, that's again, and we tried for a while. We were doing the Instagram live, but it was so hard to do Instagram live with any level of quality and still respond to people and all those things. I think Instagram live is very much a singular. It's made for one person to do a thing.
The implication is the quality has improved since we've gone to YouTube.
We're one step forward, 3 steps
I
back
didn't
kind of
say
production
that.
here.
But yeah, but
Well, you know what? For you guys, like the COVID thing, like sucked because I tuned into you guys' shows since y'all started doing this, and I liked like when you all were all together. You know, there is something about, and that's a bummer for me and Danny. Like Danny being way out on the West Coast, I'm kind of here on the East Coast. We only get to hang out a couple times a year, so that's
Well,
a
according
bummer.
to Danny, you're right down the street, dude. So I mean,
Well,
he'll get to your house like in 20 minutes.
There's a wormhole. There's a wormhole Danny didn't tell you about.
I just didn't find the right one.
But yeah, you're right. So we will get back to that, right? This is the remote recording is temporary. We will get back, and I'm expecting that to happen in the very near future. We will get back into, you know, butts and seats, and then when we build out the studio next door, it'll be, you know, another spot for all three of us to be there.
We're gonna have you're gonna pick up like Outback catering, right? Every time we record.
Wow.
I'm gonna put that into my. Yeah, that's
we
part of my
we have a writer
contract
now.
negotiation.
Yeah, we have a writer
Well, with all
now.
the sponsors I see you guys picking up, it's a wonder that Outback's not on the wall.
Right? Just give me
Seen
one
up
more.
in- I'll drive.
I don't know. Maybe
For
Miguel's.
Outback?
Maybe
Heck yeah.
maybe Miguel's or like the Taco Bell or something. I don't see.
Is
Is there a
Outback.
local?
I don't see.
Is there a
No,
local
don't worry,
taco truck that'll stop by?
Yeah, I will. There's a Miguel's right down the street. That's great food. We'll go, and
That is not
Yeah.
real Mexican food, dude.
Hey,
You're
dude.
being
Oh
fooled.
my God!
Hey,
You Southern California people, let me tell you. So Danny comes out to my hometown here, and I'm like, Danny, he drove in. Like you and the dude from Nistec drove in. They were tired. I was like, dude, we're at the local Mexican restaurant. Let's come out, have some margaritas. We'll just have a good time. And I get there, and Danny's like, this isn't effing authentic Mexican, and it's all over everywhere. Like, they have to, especially here on the East Coast, they have to put authentic on every damn thing, or nobody's buying it. And Danny's just looking at whatever you got, some queso, I don't know what it was, and
I'm
he's
like,
just
where's
like,
the
I'm not touching this.
carnitas? Where's the barbacoa?
Dude,
Danny knew more Spanish than the guy taking our order.
I've had Mexican food on the East Coast, dude. That's not Mexican food, by the way.
Hey, come on now.
You should have blown their mind and asked for a cabeza and lingua.
Lengua, yeah.
Yeah,
They would've been
yeah,
like,
right?
what?
See, we've had real hamburgers on this side. You guys got whatever that in and out.
Yeah, we get
Oh,
that.
it's the
Yeah.
best
Oh.
hamburger in the nation, sir. I'm sorry. We seem to have lost Dave. The
Yeah.
feed is breaking up.
breaking up.
I think I can click the button to remove you. But
Jeez.
yeah, In and Out is my favorite lunch store. That's my wife. That's my daughter.
We already had that discussion on this podcast, and we got a lot of flack for it.
Yeah, we got a lot of flack. We did
I can
an
imagine.
In and Out versus Five
That's a
Guys,
fight
and we got
story.
all. That was we got almost as much flack for that episode as we got for the "Don't Get Your Wrangler Wet" episode. We got so much feedback on the Wrangler thing.
Hey, so I do have a serious question for you guys.
Okay.
So I've been listening to when you were just doing it by yourself. I've listened to your podcast for quite a while.
Okay.
I want the damn theme music that you guys have because that took me right back to my childhood. I was waiting for Voltron or somebody to pop out. I was like,
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
in the hell gets this kind of cool intro music?
I'll tell you.
Yeah, where did
I
that
will
come
tell you that is my brother-in-law is a musician, and
Right.
he had a couple different bands. He toured Japan. He was played on K-Rock, the local rock and roll station here. a
Oh
while
yeah,
ago.
buddy.
He was doing he's one of those guys that was just on the cusp of he just needed the right person to find him at the right time, and he would have
Yeah.
been big. And he's got a couple songs on his in his library that are just amazing, and I've used him in a bunch of videos and stuff. And when I was
Right.
telling him about the podcast, I told him, hey, can you make me a song? And he knows that I love the Foo Fighters and they're the greatest band that ever walked the planet of the earth.
Of course.
And
God.
and then so he kind of took that in mind and went, I'm gonna make the song, and he made the theme song. Because originally like the whole thing was like inspiring people to chase your adventure, and so he
Yeah.
he made the theme song for me, and I love it so much.
Well, I'll
That-
be
that
honest.
was-
I've played that theme song to friends here. I've been like, not your show. I've literally like,
Yeah.
dude, you guys got to hear this theme song.
You're like, want to
because
hear
I'm
good
like,
music?
Well, at first, you're kind of like, it's an off-road show, but this doesn't. But I'm just like, I don't care, man. It just brings me right back to
Yeah,
my
it's-
childhood.
it
I
is-
don't
Dave
care
and
what
I
it is.
talked about it a couple times, and we're like, dude, we need something like that.
So I will. His name is.
Take it to the next level, bro. It's gonna take this out. Like, Dave, I barely know what music is. You're the musician.
Yeah,
You
his-
picked
bring
up a
your,
guy. You
his,
picked up a guy in Chicago with
Yeah,
a
dude,
guitar.
yeah.
Did you ask him to play any music? Maybe that was your opportunity right there.
It
Dude.
would have sounded more like a Jack Johnson type theme
Yeah.
song. Be like, hey man, come listen
Hey,
to
like-
Nissan Nation, man.
Hey, he was hot in those days. He was hot in
so-
2015.
You know what?
So going
They'd
back,
have been
Mayer.
popping.
going back to his name is Ryan Terrigno, Terrigno. He's done all the music. He has his own page. He still writes songs. He got to a point where he got a really, really good job offer and decided to go to a corporate. And he has a little studio at home and he still makes music. So I will talk to Ryan about what we could do for the Nissan Nation and get a new
We need
Nissan
that.
Nation
We need that
theme
so
song.
hard.
Oh, it has to
Please.
totally
Notation.
shred. It has to totally shred.
And
Gotta
so
say
it's
yeah.
gonna be the exact same song. It's just gonna be dubbed Nissan Nation.
Hey, well, let me tell you this. Here's why we like kind of like the kind of 80s. I don't know what you call that rock.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Danny, when we come to live events, Danny has to come out to
Final countdown, baby.
the final
Oh,
countdown.
nice.
Oh,
It-
no.
It's you hear
In my
and here
contract.
comes Danny.
It's my contract.
That's your reader, dude.
I thought you were
And
gonna
you gotta-
say.
Yeah.
I thought you were
I
gonna
want
say. We
M&Ms.
built this
I want
thing.
any green M&Ms.
Ryder.
until the final countdown starts. And we'll smoke and a cup of fire, and that's when I come out and do what I like to call the full Groot. When I give the full Groot,
Oh,
How many
Wow.
how many beers does it take for the full Groot to come out?
None.
you just put a couple
Just
out,
that.
and I run out.
Joke's on you. It takes 0.
yeah.
As long as there's beer there, I'll find it.
That's great.
So you'd mentioned vehicles. I know that. So you've got Danny. You've got the race Xterra, the almost race
Yes.
Xterra, the Pro 4X, and the 300Z.
Yes, and I have an Armada as well. That's the kind of the wife's vehicle, and she kind of wanted to sell it. We're gonna keep it. And I think it's that tows the trailer, and that's kind of like my big vehicle. The Frontier Pro 4X, I've been back and forth with that truck so many times. I want to sell it to buy something to tow my race truck, but that truck has been to Death Valley 5 times. It's been to Gone Moab twice. It's been all over Utah. It's been through Telluride, Black Bear Pass, and I've kind of become like one with that truck, and it's
Right.
got like sentimental value now. I just taught my daughter how to change the oil on it, like literally 3 hours ago.
Oh wow.
And we almost hit a bear in that.
We almost
truck,
hit
man.
up me and Dave went on that trip through Colorado, through Telluride, through like I said, Black Bear Pass. It's just I've done so much with that truck that it's become like like a thing. People see that truck and they, it's just kind of coalesced into what I am, with the color matched aluminum bumper, and there's just a lot of like first things that happen with that truck. So it's coming, it's got a resurgence because 4 years ago when I started building the race truck.
Yeah, don't let Danny gave me such crap when I sassed my Xterra. He's like, I'm a year and a half in. He's like, dude, I mean, why are you not done? I'm like, dude, life, kids, money, it all factors in. And now, listen to him. 4 years later, he's like, okay.
Yeah. And I ended up pulling a lot of stuff off my red truck and selling it because I needed money for the race truck. I needed to get it back from my fab guy, and I had to pay him, So it kind of like took back seat, I had wheeled it hard, and it like all the bushings and ball joints had just started falling apart, and so just recently I started, I put new axles in and new ball joints, I put new control arms, and I'm trying to bring it back to its glory days. It was literally
just
rode hard.
trade it in, go back to your roots, get a Ford Ranger.
Oh God!
Go back to your roots.
That's enough of that.
Go.
How do I mute that?
Danny did some time in a new Ranger and did not like
I got
it.
a red little Ford Ranger, and let me tell you, that thing is it's
Easy, Dan. Easy. Cody has a Ranger now.
Trust me, I take.
no,
I
we give
take
him
my
tons of
lumps
shit
for
for
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's an all right truck, but I don't know, man. It's not my Frontier at all.
Yeah, I know that's why it's
seemed a
better.
little light- It seemed a little light in the pants.
That's right. Light in the pants.
No, we
Pansy.
all honestly, like we when Matt bought that Frontier, I was 100. Going back, I was back and forth between a Frontier and a Tacoma, and I literally chose the Tacoma because it had a community around it, and the Frontier didn't. Honestly, Matt's Frontier has been bomb-proof. I mean, that thing, I love that thing. We've talked about it a bunch of times. All of us agree that Frontier is the most underrated pickup truck, and bang for buck, you can get it.
Right.
We even have a listener, and I wonder if he's going to listen tonight, or he was supposed to go on the Mojave trip with us, but he recently bailed, and I'm not going to mention any names, but he did say that he bought a Frontier because of Matt.
Because of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I was looking forward to seeing him get out there and get dirty with it, but someone's
So
gotta
where's
work.
my commission from Nissan? I feel like Nissan
If
should
we
kick
ain't
me
getting
down.
him, you ain't getting him, bro.
Yeah, let me tell you how many. Me and Danny have
Dude,
both-
these guys.
We've sold a bunch of their vehicles for them. I can tell you that, and we've got no commission checks. Just cool trips. So we have gotten some cool trips.
Yeah.
Cool trip.
I want to talk about that too. Some of the connections you have with Nissan, but going back, Dave, you've got the Juke, which I've seen. Do you still have the Titan?
No. So I leased the Titan for the show.
Yeah.
Just to basically, I needed something
Wait,
to talk
how did you
about.
convince your
and-
wife of that? By the way, honey, it's content. I need to spend this money for
Ellie's
content.
down, dude. Let me just tell you, Ellie is down. Like
My wife is a bigger car person than I am.
Oh,
yeah,
so
nice.
she's all
she's
in.
never had a V8 before.
Yeah.
And I leased this truck. It sat in the driveway. I have a company vehicle. Like, it just wasn't being drove. And her Xterra, something happened. The battery, it needed a new battery or something. So she's like, I'm just going to take your truck, till we get a battery. I'm like, okay. And 3 years later, I never got the keys back to that truck. And I think I put out of the 40,000 miles we put on that thing, I think I put maybe 7.
No,
Like, she wasn't letting it go back to me. So
that's funny. So what's your wheeling rig right now?
Oh, well, I have a 2000 Xterra that's been sassed, and it's been on a couple trails, and that's about the last time it'll probably be on some trails. The wife's she's got a 2009 Gen 2 Xterra that we primarily use. I have more fun. Honestly, I have more fun anymore. I professionally wheel. Like I'm a land surveyor. I'm in the mountains. I'm everywhere wheeling all the time. So when we go out, I let her drive. And honestly, she's probably a better driver than me anymore. And but I do spotting and just have fun seeing her excitement from it. So that's about as far as the wheeling I get anymore.
That's awesome. And so when you say that you're
that's not awesome. I think that's sad.
No, it's
you kind of bummed me out right there.
No,
why?
I don't know, because I just put myself in his position, like, and Monty's gonna be driving, and I got a spot for her. That sounds like a nightmare to me. And you just bummed me out,
dude. Living in my nightmare. I love Nissan so much. I created an off-road event. Let me tell you, like,
let me back Dave up on this for a minute, because I've been to Moab, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. I used to run trails in Death Valley, and then I started leading them, and I did that a bunch. So as far as just general off-roading and doing some extreme, I've kind of done all I want in all my red truck, my red Frontier. I've pushed it as far as I'm willing to push it without doing some really gnarly, stupid stuff to the well, not stupid, but really gnarly. If I want a solid axle to the truck and just go on this really hardcore transition to this is a trail rig only kind of a truck, I've pushed it to its current limits from what I want to do. I did trifecta, which is Poison Spider, Gold Bar Rim, and something else. There's 3 trails out there. It's really gnarly trails in Moab. And so I did all that, and it made it. I have yet, and knock on wood, I have yet to break down on a trail in that truck. And with the stuff that I put on it, like that I put it through, I'm very lucky. And so at this point, like in the same vein, in Death Valley, I sat my daughter in the driver's seat when she was like 7 years old and mobbed through the desert, and just had her take the steering wheel and just made sure that she didn't crash. And then, I put my wife in the seat and I taught her some of the aspects of off-roading, and now she's pretty solid at it. And because at this point, I've kind of done all I wanted to do in the rock crawling off-roading world, other than the fact that I love going out and sharing a fireplace in the middle of the desert or in the middle of the mountains. I mean, that's what I love. I'm a people person. Sometimes they're hippies, sometimes they're cool dudes like you guys. Right. I'm a people person.
And that's with my SAS Xterra. I did stuff with it. Like I've taken it. I mean, I could go do a lot more with that thing, but I don't want to. Like, and it's not because I'm scared to do it. I'm just like, I'm just happy with what I'm doing. And if I can go have fun for a weekend, load it back up on a truck, bring it home, that's good enough. Like, I'm not one of these guys that just has to go push the vehicle to everything it can do.
Every trail doesn't have to be extreme.
Yeah. And we've
right. And I think that's what's lost in this community a little bit is these guys go buy a brand new Jeep. They've got to put 35s to 37s on it. They think they instantly got to go do the hardest thing. And you end up with a $100,000 Jeep that you went out and had fun with, or the fun you can have, you had to go do extreme.
Yeah.
And then what? Like, and I always like, and I think Danny will back me up on this. We tell everybody, I don't care what you drive, really. If it's a Nissan, I love it. It helps our channel. But go do it stock and work that vehicle into it. And you've got years of fun to get to the point to where you might, have a rock crawl or something. Yeah. And like my wife's Xterra, it's exactly where it's going to be. We go do trails in it a couple times a year. It's more kind of an overlander build. We'll do a little rock crawling in that thing, but we just, as far as me, like Danny said, I've done everything from the East Coast to the West Coast. The Rubicon's still on my bucket list, but other than that, I've done it.
Yeah. We're big proponents of that. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we've talked about similar stuff like that numerous times. Where, well, what's the limit? Like, you're gonna put 37s, and you're just you're gonna roll over anything you want and be unstoppable. Someday they're going to have levitating, where you're just levitating over obstacles and look what I did.
Like claw vehicles.
Exactly.
Right. Where do you guys?
Like Batman, you're climbing walls. But in the meantime, like, it really is. And I think that at the core of our show is get out there with what you have and get to those campfire moments or where you're hanging out with people and you guys, everybody has that common interest. So I agree with you. Run what you brung.
I would have never sassed my Xterra had it just not been for I pushed it like Danny was saying. I pushed it as hard as it could go with the factory suspension under it, and I'd upgraded it, but I just got tired of replacing things. So I was like, here's the final step. Just I'm done replacing stuff. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think I blew your steering out. It was the final.
Oh yeah,
right.
Danny's first time. So Danny comes to my event on the East Coast, and Danny being a desert racer, a desert rat. I was like, Danny, you want to drive? Like, well, hell yeah, I want to drive. So we go out there, and Danny's bombing through these rock courses like at 40 miles an hour. And all of a sudden, I get my truck back, and the steering wheel's like opposite direction. And, yeah, and I'm like, what did you do to my truck?
You said, Dave, yeah, have at it, man. Beat on her.
Yeah. But look, there's certain people, like I would never say that to Matt. Because he would
please let me drive that Ford.
One, you couldn't handle it. You couldn't handle it. First of all, second of all, Matt. When you say Matt, hey, have at it, go at it. That's in Matt hears. I can't stop until it's wrecked. Like there's no
stop it.
That is
stop it.
I'm gonna keep
that
going.
Doesn't mean break it. That just means all right. I'm gonna push it.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all that is. Yeah.
Well, that's how Danny was when we took that truck he's in down to the California Speedway to do some auto racing there or some auto track stuff. Like Danny is like, we're beating Z's. He's beating Z lap times in that Xterra on 35-inch MTs. And Danny's like, here, do this. Danny hands me the keys. He's like, "Here, you go do it, man." And I'm like, "I don't want to break. I don't want to break your truck."
Break my truck. Yeah, Dave was like, "Oh, he was like skirting some tires," and I'm like, "Push it!" I'm like, "Go, go, go! You're gonna break some stuff. It's not putting you to shame, man. Let's do this."
But let me tell you, Danny's face. Danny, we're doing lap times, and I'm clocking him, and I think you were at like 50 seconds or something on this, and all the Z guys are doing it in like a minute 10 or something. I'm like, how are you beating Z guys?
Wow.
And we've got a video of this, and you can see white smoke just coming off these tires. He's going around the corners, almost drifting.
Yeah.
And there's people in the comments going, "Why is this truck smoking like that?" I'm like, because he's pushing it as hard as he can freaking go, man.
It's gonna blow
inside
up.
that truck. Like, I mean, there's no bolsters to the seats, right? Like, it's not like a sports car. Oh man, the amount of rattling back and forth and flying back and forth around the because you had to like,
it's great.
Literally, like, you had to set up the weight on the tires, right? So like, way before you get to the turn, you're like resetting the weight, and I'm like, I love racing. Like, that's why I have just a trail rig that I can go to campfires with. Because if that was my only truck, it would be broken. And it is kind of broken right now because I drive it too fast. And that's why I have a race truck now, because I'm like, I need a race truck because racing is in my soul.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that I want to do. I mean, I've paid a lot of money to race with guys up until this point in other trucks and stuff like that. And in 2001, I went to the Baja 1000, and it was 2000. In 2000, they raced the race. It was a 1,700 mile race. It was the longest they ever raced it. And I saw those trophy trucks and all these cars, and we welded bugs back together, Class 11 bugs that were just like destroyed. We welded them back together. And I looked at that. I'm like, I'm doing this one day. This is my dream. It's soaked into my soul. And so now when, like all these trips I've been on, I'm like flying down the road. I'm look back. There's nobody in my rear view. I'm like trying to lead a trail. I'm like, come on, guys. Yes,
Well, Danny says this, but his dad gets in the 300Z and starts out racing Danny in his own damn car. He gets a sports car, and suddenly he's grandpa over there.
So talking about the Z, in my father-in-law's driveway is a pristine 1981 280ZX brown. Nice. It was my wife's uncle. He passed away really young, and he had only had the car for a year or two, and it's been basically garaged and covered ever since. And my wife has been like talking about, hey, can we get this? And just 2 weekends ago, I was at the house, and he had just taken it out and got it buffed and the whole thing. And I was like, he said something about selling it. And I'm like, if you sell that Z without giving me the opportunity to buy it, you will never see your daughter again. Like you will be, that will be the end. Like she will be so mad.
And,
Straight
and
to
then
the
he
you never
laughed.
seeing your kid again.
Yeah, I would really love that thing is so cool. And I remember a buddy of mine in high school had one, and you know how fast they were, and that thing, it's like pristine condition. It's been since like 1983, I think it's been garaged or covered and taken out like once a month or something.
Just driving. Like, so when I picked up my Z, I never actually drove one. I had owned one for I don't know, 8 months.
He owned a
like
shell. Let's not be.
I owned a junk in my garage, and then I realized that I had too many projects and got rid of it. But this one was like, it was pristine. It had been garage kept in kind of the same situation. But I got into it, and the first time I drove it, I was like, man, this thing is so freaking cool. And I was like trying to wrap my head around the whole situation. And you guys are probably similar in age to me. I'm 38, gonna be 39.
If you say so.
Same rough area.
Yeah, I'll take credit for that. Sure.
Man.
Back when you were in high school, a 66 Mustang was 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now, this car is 30 years old to me. You know,
That's crazy. Yeah.
30-year-old car. So technically it's similar situation, and that's how it feels. You know, I've been in some fast cars, and this car is not fast, but it doesn't matter because it has this, you know, we'll call it an early 90s vibe. It has this old vibe to it. It has its stench, you know, from rotting
Thanks,
interior.
Jeez.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
But, like,
Z32, right?
Yeah. It's a 300Z, 300ZX, Z32, 300. Yeah. So, but there's just like this sentimentality, and especially with like, you know, like a 280, it's even older. It's a time capsule of automotive history, and you sit in it and you start driving, and you think about all the cars that came out at that time frame, and that was a really cool, different style of car than what was out, you know, across the board. But you know, the 240 was you know, what the 260 and the 280 were kind of built off of, right? But they really were, you know, there was a lot of fighting going on as far as like what we're going to bring out that's cool and what's competing and stuff like that. And so I really love car history. Dave loves it just as much as I do. And you know, we focus a ton on Nissan because we're really embedded into Nissan now, you know, whether it's through friends or because we started all this. We've become Nissan guys, you know, for one reason or another. But I love cars. I love automotive history. I love racing. Everything about it is my passion. And so
and Nissan has a strong, even in the trucks, man, in the trophy truck stuff and from the 80s, they have a strong history.
The Nissan
It's sort of forget about that.
Yeah.
You know, I know Ivan Stewart for Toyota did a ton for it, but
Roger
Nissan-
Mears, right?
Yeah.
But
and
go
even
back
Spencer
to, so I'm older than everybody but Matt on this thing.
I don't know whether to brag that I'm older than you
too
or
much.
like not
But
admit it.
anyways, so I remember mid to late 90s going to the Stadium Series monster truck jams when they had the mini trucks, the Toyotas, the Nissans, the hard body.
At
And
the
they
Coliseum and stuff.
Yes, and they would race those tracks, Anaheim Stadium, like. And I remember Matt Jose and I have talked about this. You know, back in the early 90s when they had the Desert Runner series of the Nissan hardbody and the Pathfinder, how badass those things were. And and I remember I had a buddy that was diehard Nissan. His dad drove Nissan. He wouldn't drive anything and that I was jealous of his truck because it was just such a badass little truck. And I don't know, and we've had multiple conversations, I'm sure you guys have too, but
We talk about this all the time. I know exactly where you're going to go.
Somewhere down the line.
Yeah, where was that pivot?
Yeah.
I can tell you where that pivot was. Nissan was going bankrupt in the late 90s, and then a French company decided to take controlling interest, and instead of worrying about making cool cars from all the 90s, they worried about making money.
And get this too, Dave, is the last truck that Nissan sponsored was the yellow Nissan Xterra, which I raced in. I ended up sponsoring him for 2 years. But that truck was the first truck that was put into commercials. That was like the silver Xterra that was in the.
You mean the one on your chest?
this much. But they sold him that truck for $1. This is Dave Blakely, a guy that I kind of helped resurrect that truck back into racing. But that was that was the last truck that they sponsored, and they sponsored him for, I want to say 2 or 3 years, and he did all right. But I mean, he raced in a stock 4-wheel drive class and then a class 7, which is all stock stuff. And that class, you just explode stuff. I mean, stock stuff just cannot handle the desert. You know what I'm saying? Like at the speeds and the amount of banging. And Dave Blakely drives a little aggressive, we'll say. He likes to push the envelope. So he broke it, fixed it, broke it, fixed it. But that was like the last time that they really, and they had taken a bunch of time off between, when they started their first Gen Xterras and Frontiers and stuff like that. They hadn't done much, and they dabbled a little bit with that truck, but they never really got back into racing.
But they really did. In when Renault kind of took the wheel a little bit, they went from worrying about cars that people love to be a part of into making things like the Altima and stuff, which sell a ton.
Yeah.
And it did bring the company out of the issues they were having, but now at the same point, it's put them right back in the issues that they're in now, because they taken 15 years to make a Frontier. In 2016, we were set to get the Navara, and they hired Fred Diaz from Ram to come in and change things. And he's like, "Look, guys, you can't give people a 5-year-old vehicle here in the States. It's not built for the United States. That truck won't work."
Yeah, Ford did it.
Ford has been. That Ranger's been heavily modified from what the
and it sucks. And it sucks.
And it still sucks.
Agreed. But since 2011, that platform has been overseas, being tested, being run. I mean, I'm not a first generation buyer guy usually, but the fact that had 4 or 5 years of, even more than that, with 2011, so 8 years of overseas, use. To me, that they made the modifications required. They boxed the frame. They did a bunch of the other stuff put the 2.4 turbo in it. But I mean, I think that Navara, everything I've seen from that Navara, if they dropped that on a lot today, people would buy it. So let's talk about that. We talked about the pivot of what drove Nissan to the grocery getter mobiles, and then I know you guys were part of that new Titan rollout, and then now you guys are breaking news left and right on the Frontier stuff. So what do you guys see? Because you're connected with the Nissan people. I'm sure you sit on the board of directors, and
sure.
It's right next to my homeless guys that I drive around.
So what is?
They just fired them, Dan.
What is so talk to me about where you see things going now, since you have some intimate knowledge of what the trucks are doing,
or just word it. What would you want to see from the new Frontier?
Well, I mean, what I want to see and what's in reality is two different things. Like Nissan's got a timing issue. Like in 2005, when this current Frontier and Xterra came out, we were just about to hit a depression. The collapse was about to happen. The first couple of years, it sold well. Both vehicles sold well. And then you hit the depression and just bad timing on Nissan's part. So here they are about to launch the third generation. What has happened to them? COVID
pandemic.
And it's hurt everybody. Don't get me wrong. But where they know this has to be a home run. Like they know. And that's why you haven't seen it yet. And that's why we held on to that picture forever. I mean, we've had that picture for a year. They know.
What?
Yes, they know this truck has to be a home run. And when Nissan found out I had a copy of that, they were like, "Hey, let's take a meeting." Suddenly they want to buy you lunch and buy you a little bit.
Well, it could have gone either way. Either you were gonna get a cease and desist letter, or they're like, "You know what? You have a big following."
Well, the cool thing about being a journalist is what can they do to me? Freedom of the press.
That's
like
true.
They can't stop me.
We had that picture, and we had this big idea on how to release it. Right, we got the picture. We're like, this is awesome. This is sweet. This is going to really help. Push some numbers for us. This is big news. We're feeling like we're a legitimate news outlet. Like we're really the guys on the cusp of whatnot.
How does that feel?
Well, we'll tell you how that feels.
Okay, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I start writing a press release. Right? I start writing copy for our website. Right.
Well, hey, Danny, stop just saying. So before we got to set the story. Before this, Nissan invites us out to their first Titan adventure.
Yeah.
So I've had some workings within Nissan, but we get to meet more PR people and
Wait a
people
minute,
that.
did you blackmail Nissan? It sounds
No.
like-
So we
Sorry. I'm sorry. There was a facial hand gesture.
So they
go
went and dined us on that, and we get to kind of know their inner workings a little bit better. So they knew us now. We know who they are, their PR department, and so we get this picture. And like Danny was said, we've been planning it for a couple weeks. How do we release this? I reached out to a reporter friend of mine and was like, "Hey, how do you get maximum publicity for this photo?" He was like, "Dude, you're on the biggest Nissan story. If you had that or the GTR news, like it's the biggest thing out of Nissan." So my reporter buddy kind of effed me because he sent, as Danny's typing all this stuff up, he sends this picture to Nissan corporate. And it's like, he wanted verification. Is this a real picture?
No.
Now, luckily I watermarked this picture.
Yeah, we kind of got backdoored a little bit in that scenario.
Yeah. And because we're fairly new to the situation, I mean, it's not every day people get to drop, the vehicles before a company gets to drop it.
Yeah.
So the guy effed us a little bit, and it is what it is. But 20 minutes before Danny's about to drop this, I get a phone call.
Literally 20 minutes. I had just finished the article, and I'm like, "We're doing this. This is ready to go. We're gonna go big time, boys." And it's like we're getting with a countdown setting. We're like excited. We're on the phone, FaceTiming, like it's gonna happen. Next level.
And so Nissan PR calls me and goes, "Hey, can you take a meeting?" And I was like, "What about?" Just totally playing dumb about it. Like, why would you want to, what do you have to tell me? And it's like, "Well, we heard you have a picture of something we don't want released." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And I called Danny and I was like, "I'll take their meeting because, I mean, it's not like if I didn't release that picture that instant, it was over, the window had shut." So I take a meeting and they explain to us, here's why we don't want this out just yet. And it's all business. We don't want, the current Frontier at the time was a shift change from the previous Frontier.
That's when I tell them, here's why I would like the rest of my payments to be made on my current Frontier.
Then you go to jail. But
I don't know if you saw the last Titan adventure that we were on, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wined and dined. My room was like a $3,000 room.
Yeah, apparently they went all out on that thing, dude.
Yes.
Damn.
So with this,
sure.
The picture that you've seen now is, I tell everybody, that's not a third generation Frontier. That's like a fourth generation. If you think of the Navara as sort of, you can see the design traits from it, from the current one to that. You see it.
Sure.
This one, if you look at it, you're going to see from that Navara now to what you've kind of seen in the picture that we have. And so I understand they made their case of, look, we don't want Toyota knowing where we're about to go with this. We don't want Ford, because clearly the Titan had copied Ford a little. Yeah. They copied Ford a little too much on the Titan, and it was smart they did that.
It's the best truck out there. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yes.
They're going to have to copy somebody.
Right. And so they knew the Frontier needed to be a game changer for them. So we took the meeting. They wined us and dined us a couple times. They've sent us on another trip, and I had no intentions of releasing this picture. And me and Danny, trust me, man, we both have gray hairs over this picture. At certain times, I wish that this picture never became in my possession.
Yeah,
because the pressure.
Do you want to discuss how it came into your possession?
No.
Why not? It's all theoretical how it got into your hands.
We knew a guy.
Yeah,
Did you have to hack the mainframe? Just say you had to hack a mainframe. Or
well, they did have a leak about 6 months ago, but no, literally the pressure to have something like that, and for what it could have done to our show, and we picked up 200 or 300 subs from this picture in a week and a half. Like, it was ridiculous the growth we got from it. Now, granted, we are not TFL or some of these bigger things, that have almost 1 million followers, but we're also one company. We're following one company, so it was a big deal for us. So literally, through all this stuff, Nissan was having troubles even before COVID. like they were cleaning house of a bunch of people. They had shut down at the beginning of the year for 2 days. They're trying to reset. They literally let go of the whole team that me and Danny ever worked with over there.
Really?
Like,
Yeah.
let them all
because
go.
of you? They're like,
No.
You know the Nissan
No,
Nation guy.
but had we-
You're out.
but
I
had
know
we
those meetings
released
with the
this-
PR people, they
Well,
get fired.
It was all the people we had agreed to
Yes.
that we had said we're not going to release this picture, and all the people we promised that, hey, listen, I'm giving you my word. They're like, you're fired. And then the other person were like, we give you my word. We're not going to you're fired.
Dude, you were responsible for half of Nissan being fired.
Yeah, these,
How do you
these
sleep at
guys,
night?
these guys single-handedly impacted the
How can you
unemployment rate in
sleep at
in
night?
America.
Right.
They're like,
right.
Carlos Ghosn. They're like, you're fired. He climbed into
He climbed in a suitcase and got out of there. But I will say, we've taken a lot of questions. How could you hold on to that for so long? And it comes down to, for one, this is a long-term play for me and Danny. This is like, we have plans of making YouTube and the podcast stuff like our retirement plan, kind of. I want to do journalism full time. That's my end game. And if you burn these bridges real quick with these guys, trust me, I know the door.
The short-term game is not worth it.
Which it was explained to us by a good friend of ours that works over there.
a
He was like,
number
"Look,
of
man."
people explain that to us
Yeah.
over and over again.
So literally after
Are they still working for Nissan or have they been fired?
and they played the short game.
their
and they
contracts
lost.
were not picked up. But I will say this: the night I released, so I told Danny, I was like, "Danny, it's time, man. I'm my contact who I got the photo from. They wanted it out. Like we got pressured a lot from this contact to get this photo out.
What does their name rhyme with?
Nissan. No, but really,
Nissan.
Yeah.
when we sat on this picture and told everybody we've seen this truck, we sat on it forever, and if we didn't release it before somebody else did, which was going to happen, me and Danny would have looked like the biggest assholes that just lied. And then it's like, oh, you just copied that picture and screen capture,
Yeah.
And so we were sort of pressured into it.
Well, I mean, look, I can understand from multiple angles as to why you would want to get it out and why you wouldn't, and all.
So
I think Nissan has had 15 freaking years to do something with the Frontier.
Right.
Another 3 weeks.
can we speculate on the actual capabilities or what we're getting with the new Frontier?
It'll have four tires. It'll have 4 tires.
Oh, come on.
No,
So that's it.
But here's
if you
Matt,
watch
you're like
Nissan
this.
Nation production, they have a
Yeah.
whole video on it.
Jeez.
There
Here's the
Right,
fun fact though.
But we're a
Matt.
podcast, and I'm trying to get people that listen to our Jose. That's how that works.
So
Oh,
here's
I'm
some
sorry, go on.
backstory. So the Frontier was due to be canceled in 2010. It was gone. That they were going to kill it when the Gen 2 Titan was going to be built by Ram. Right before the collapse, it was a done deal. They were going to kill the Frontier. Midsize. Look, Chevy got out of it. Ford got out of it. Toyota and Nissan were the last struggling people with it, and they weren't selling a ton. So they were going to axe the Frontier. And when the partnership with Ram gets bought out by Fiat, Fiat had no interest in wanting to build a truck with Nissan anymore. And honestly, Nissan didn't want, they were partnered with a company that almost went bankrupt. So they pulled back, and they just had to continue the Frontier. And it takes 3 to 4 years to design a truck to get it out. And then it's $1 billion. And I mean that. It's $1 billion from design to just get it to manufacturing. So there's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of time involved. And that's what really stalled the current Frontier. But as far as your question of the next one, I think it's going to be just as capable. It's going to be built on basically the same frame, and there's no reason to update that frame because a frame is a frame. There's no new technology there. Yeah, you can get into lighter metals, but it is what it is. I think the next one, though, will be aluminum. I will say that, and that's an exclusive here. I've not announced that at all, but Nissan.
I like heavy metal, so I'm fine with that.
Well, they're going to call this one the Pantera.
Yeah.
So.
The fact that
Nice.
they came out with the we'll call it the 2020 Frontier with the new motor, the
Right.
3.8 liter, the 9-speed transmission, but they stuffed it into the same frame. I think that gives us an idea that they're probably going to use that same frame. They may tweak some things. One of the big reasons they didn't want to bring that MP300, the Navara from overseas, is because I think they had a little bit of a problem with the 4-link style rear suspension, the spring suspension in the rear. I don't think it was heavy duty enough.
Yeah, the
I-
Australians fussed about it. It just
yeah,
didn't do enough for
there
them.
was some problems with that. It just wasn't tough enough. And the guy that was running the truck market at the time, I think he's left now. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, he's gone.
But at the time he was like, that's not gonna swing over here. You guys, you know, if you bring that over here, which may have pushed things out a little bit longer, where they're like, all right, you know, we're not going to be able to go with what we thought we might be able to go with. You know, that may have just kind of stirred the pot, and then the fact that he had to leave. I think that adds to all these reasons why this thing, you know, something gets backburnered or gets kicked back more, because
Well, then every president wants to put their own touch on something.
Yeah.
Every new guy,
Every change of regime, someone's like, whoa, every project is on hold. We're going to review everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think the next gen Frontier will be same footprint, or will it be a little bit bigger the way the Tacoma, the Ranger, and the ZR2, the Colorado have all kind of expanded a little bit?
I think it's going to stay the same. Like it's a great size vehicle. You know, I mean, I know the American way is the next generation of everything has to be a little bigger, more capable. But knowing that they're going to use the same framing that they're doing now, I think the S, the SV, and the Pro 4X will be the same width and size. I think if you've seen the picture, if they do actually build the Nismo version, I think it's going to be a wider track vehicle. It's going to be very Raptor-like. And I think basically what that means is it's basically Titan swap from the factory. That they're stretching it out using Titan suspension.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would make sense with their big fenders that they put on that. You know, whether they come to market with that, whether what I say, if they have the balls to bring that out, which I think they need to, they have to, at some point in time, Nissan has to grow some balls and try something exciting.
Well, even if they don't, even if they don't bring it to market, they need to at least do what a lot of the other brands do and build that truck to be on show at SEMA, at events, Ram did it with the Rebel and a bunch of other, Raptor-like stuff before years before they did any of that stuff.
Yeah, but
DR2.
they have a great thing called the Titan Warrior.
Yeah, they don't want to warrior it up where everybody wants a warrior.
Nissan,
a regular old Titan, and there's
even in the cars.
between.
But even in the cars, they did the IDX. Dude, that was a home run. Why did you bring this out and never made a little two-door coupe like they come out with? It was a throwback to the 510. And they did it with the Warrior concept, man. They brought it out with a diesel in it, which has no place in that particular truck. And I've sat in that vehicle, man. It's super cool. But I don't want a diesel in a sport truck like that. And it hit a home run, but they just weren't ready to. They didn't build it. They couldn't afford to build it, honestly. So that's what I'm worried about with the Nismo. Can they actually afford to build that truck? And yeah, you can get $60,000 probably for that truck, but at the end of the day, it's new stamping. There's stamping involved in that, and stamping is so expensive.
Mm-hmm. So what does Nissan have to do? What is? I mean, we've talked about it a bunch. Like the Tacoma has already been. It's established. It is the pinnacle right now. Everybody, the Toyota Tacoma. We joked around. I think I joked around about how Toyota could drop out a turd and put it on the lot, and people will buy it because it says Toyota on it.
There'd be aftermarket support.
There would totally be aftermarket
whatever.
support.
Let's support this turd. And,
Yeah.
Everybody would make aftermarket parts for it.
The Ford has made a huge push with the Ranger and now the Bronco, and they're putting the marketing dollars and the names, and they're doing all the right things to make that a competitor. What does Nissan need to do to get their name on the list, to be at the table?
Well, Ford and the big three guys, their truck department, and I've said this many times, their truck department is larger than Nissan's global headquarters here, or their United States headquarters. And I mean that, like their truck, Ford makes so much money off of trucks that it pays for anything they want to do. Nissan doesn't have that luxury. Nissan makes money on the Frontier. Like the current Frontier has been paid for many times over.
Yeah,
it's a cash cow for them right now.
Everyone they've sold the last 12 years has been bonus. I mean,
top profit. Top profit.
So right now they need the truck to come out and be a home run. And whether Nissan marketing can actually pull this off is the question mark, because Nissan is full right now, and I say this kindly, they're full of people looking to make a quick mark and jump companies. They want to be, oh, look at that guy. That's our AAA baseball player. Let's pull him from the minor leagues and grab him. And it happens. GM does it to them all the time. Anytime they get an executive that seems like could make a difference for the company, suddenly some other company wants them. They need stability more than anything. Like, they need, get this truck out, build off of it. Go ahead, and I know they're planning the 3rd generation Titan already. They need to use the Nismo Frontier as a halo truck.
Yeah.
Show that we kick ass again and play to the heritage, like y'all were talking about earlier. Play that we owned desert racing at one time, and they really did. Toyota had Ivan Stewart, and that was it.
Yeah.
And Toyota, if they don't kiss Ivan Stewart's ass for every truck they still sell because of him, their truck, I mean it, like their truck, they only sell pickup trucks because of Ivan Stewart. Like, they weren't thought of in the early 80s. Nissan owned the pup truck market, and Ivan Stewart comes along, and he's got a flashy name, amazing driver.
And a video game. He had a video game.
Exactly.
That's a game changer.
Well, Nissan had Budweiser on the side of their truck. It was hard to get a video game out of that.
Well, I play that game now, you know.
I think if Nissan really spoke to the capability of the new Frontier as an off-road centric thing, I think that they'll show that there's value there and that it's just as good as any other truck.
Well, there's gotta, I mean, right now there's got to be a counterculture move. I mean, you see it in all over the place in culture. You know, you don't want to be part of the general herd that's just, you know, mowing down the grass.
Yep.
People want to step away and be different.
You want to separate yourself.
Yeah, and you know, that's one of the reasons why I kind of started doing the Nissan thing. You know, instead of surf, I bodyboard like a loser. You know, back in the day, I was a rollerblader like a loser. I was
wait a minute. Can we please get some pictures of you rollerblading? Like, I want to see the shorts. And like these guys just 2 weeks ago were giving me a hard time because I used to cut my t-shirts all the way down the side. But at least I was.
You're just opening yourself to more ridicule.
But at least I was a skater.
About it again.
At least I was a skater and not a rollerblader. Come on.
Dude, you know you just want to wear them already. Just wear your shirts on live stream already.
Let's see your pit hairs.
Mojave. I'm gonna show up at Mojave with one of the Trail Chaser shirts cut out, just like rolling up.
Tasteful side boob.
Yeah.
Tasteful.
You like that? You like that side boob? Well, you shouldn't, because that's my side boob.
Oh man.
And speaking to that, guys, like Danny over there, the little asshole he is, like, we made a bet. I think it was a Super Bowl bet, and it was part of it was somebody was going to be wearing an American Speedo. And guess who lost that damn bet? And freaking Danny's like, I require a picture, and not just a picture. You got to be standing up on top of your truck. And then we had to. Oh my god! And
got it. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I don't think it went. That's one of those that I put in my pocket and said one day.
Well, I tell you what, Danny, send it to me, and I'll use it in promoting this episode.
Aging like a fine wine.
We'll use it to promote this episode. That'll be the social media posts for this episode 125.
But I will say this: as far as like what does Nissan need to do, I've said this for a while. They need to start advertising this truck, and don't show it. I just need a 15-second internet ad of all you see is the new headlights glowing.
That's right.
And you see dust. Yeah. It's dusk out, and all you see is a cloud of smoke coming in. It's coming right for that camera.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's all they need to do is tease it like that.
Yeah. They've been doing that with the Bronco.
You know, look at Bronco.
Yes.
Bronco's been teased so hard that now people are waiting for the second gen or the whatever generation, the next one, because they've seen this one too much. But people are so excited about it that they've created a frenzy, and Nissan needs to do that.
I am so freaking excited about it. I am trying to talk my wife into buying one, and she's not having it so far.
They don't even exist yet. They don't even exist yet. He's already trying to buy another Ford.
I am totally.
It's ridiculous.
I am totally ready to put my money down.
Let me say this. So I bought my Frontier in 2014. I bought it brand new in 2014. The only reason I bought it was because I knew the Xterra was going away. At the time, I had my Nissan off-road business, and I was selling stuff, and I knew that if I bought that, that's where the market was going to the Frontier stuff. And I had just wrecked this truck that I'm in right now, and I was planning on building it as a race truck, and I was like, I need something to test parts on and take out to events and stuff like that. So I bought it. I still love Xterras way more than my Frontier.
Oh, you're silly. You're silly.
It was such a better overland vehicle, shorter wheelbase, easy. Like, I don't know. I just loved my this truck right here that I'm in, the Xterra that I'm in. I kind of wish that I'd built the Frontier as a race truck, because literally the Frontier wheelbase and everything is better for racing. And the truck bed and stuff, it's better. It's a better platform. But so the Xterra is gone, and the Bronco's coming in, and Nissan has nothing. And I'm hoping and I'm praying with every part of my being that they bring back a really amazing Xterra. Who knows if it'll happen? But Bronco is pushing that segment hard. They're going to go right up against the Jeeps.
They're gonna go head to head against Jeep.
Oh yeah, that is
ahead.
confirmed. I had a conversation with someone from Ford, and I said, flat out, I said, here's what I think is happening. You are targeting Jeep 100%. The Ranger is going after the Gladiator. The Bronco is going after the Wrangler. And then the little mini Bronco is going right after the Renegade and Compass. Yep. And she just looked at me and went, and smiled and nodded her head. And
was that before or after Mean Matt insulted their brand?
Oh, yeah, that could have been. That could have been right around the same time.
That was before, because she took off after that.
Yeah. You insult the brand, but we did the first Titan adventure, and we're around a bunch of new people that we didn't know. You know, I mean, was a small inner circle of Nissan I knew before this, so I'm talking and I'm ripping them up about, man, your commercials just suck bad, man. I'm like, I don't know who does the buying for your ads, but your placement's horrible. And that guy goes, well, that'd be me. And I was ghost faced, like, and then I did the same thing to the director of the commercials. Like, and he's like, dude, I know these suck. He's like, but they pay me to do it, and I'm going to continue to keep doing it.
That's the absolute wrong answer. If you know they suck, do something different about it. I mean,
the director has no, like, they set the vision. Yeah, and he just has to go do it.
I guess. Yeah, no, I understand, but you know, we're all in agreement with you that they're horrible. Yeah. I mean,
because I've said it. They have a waspy dude that's out there in front of an Altima and a Rogue, and guess what? By the end of that commercial, there's the whole damn lineup sitting out there.
Yeah,
and it's like because they really don't have a ton of money. I understand.
When you say waspy, do you mean like he's like kind of a hornet shaped, like bug?
Yes.
Like a yellow jacket or
somebody
something.
Want to squat out of the air?
No,
if
Nissan was a bee, it wouldn't be that.
My favorite Nissan commercial, and I'm 99% sure it's a Nissan commercial, is when they're playing tag in the cars on the streets of some town, and they're chasing each other in their cars like tag you're it. It's a Nissan. I'm 99% sure it's a Nissan commercial, and it's
in the 2000s,
nobody remembers Nissan
because
commercials.
It's so lame.
They had the best commercials when they launched the Gen 2 Xterra. They had the best. They nailed it.
They did what Jeep did, but just recently, right?
Yeah, they were doing
like people riding mountain bikes and stuff, and like showing off.
They killed
in Moab.
And that's that yellow truck that I raced in. That was it, dude. They were like, you know, this everything you need, nothing you don't. You know, like this is an off-road. You take a truck, let's do this. You know,
had that first aid kit in the door. Like,
oh yeah,
you're gonna hurt yourself. Brush off.
Hey, you're gonna hurt yourself, but we got your back.
We got you covered.
You got a Band-Aid.
You know what? Talking about the Xterra, I remember I had a friend that was looking for a vehicle, and he was talking about the Xterra, and I'm like, you know what? I think they're bitching trucks, but I don't know anything about them. I don't know if you can buy a suspension for them. I don't know anything about them. He ended up going a different route, and I remember telling him, I said, I think the Xterra is a little bit smaller. And I remember parking, I had a Grand Cherokee, my WJ, lifted 33s, and I parked it next to an Xterra and went, holy crap, that Xterra's as big or bigger than the Grand Cherokee. If for some reason I always imagined the Xterra to be more of a subcompact, but it was a good size.
Well, the Gen 1 sort of was.
Was it?
The Gen 1 was sort of in that compact.
And it had more ground clearance, but partially because it was a little bit more of a compact vehicle. And the second gen, they're fat old girls.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, you know, you put a bunch of stuff on them and they turn into big old monsters. You know, it's the same as It's the same as
there's a joke there, and I'm just gonna let it go.
And I remember.
But my thing.
Go ahead. Jose.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. But my thing is, it's like they have, great trucks overseas, like the Patrol, like the Nissan Patrol.
Yeah,
is like world renowned for its off road capability. Even the Y62, the one they have now.
Yeah,
it's like even though it's IRS and IFS, like it still competes with the Toyota Land Cruiser, the 200 that they have, that we have here too. But it's like, why not pivot heavy on that they have something established overseas.
They've actually they've actually toyed with bringing Patrol nameplate here to the United States, but as far as what you're calling a Patrol that we call the Armada here,
it's the same. It's the same platform, right?
Well,
same.
it is, but it isn't. Of course, they get front rear lockers.
Yeah, they got lockers and all that stuff,
but they're the market, the United. So I have Australian friends, and they are like, "Why do you guys not wheel Patrols or Armadas?" And I was like, "Because it's too big." And they're like, "What? It's too big." Like they don't get.
Yeah.
The Australians don't get our market, and we don't understand theirs, which makes us want each other's cars all the time.
Yeah.
But the last generation Patrol is my favorite Patrol. Like the one before the current, it was the perfect size vehicle. It was just a little bit bigger. You could get a kick-ass 2-door or 4-door. And I've toyed with it, and I did a video on this, why they don't bring the Terra. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Terra.
Hold on real quick. I was just going to address that because I saw that video, and I saw a Terra here in Southern California, and I had other cars. I had people in the vehicle with me that weren't car people, and I'm freaking, I'm swerving, and like my wife, they're like, "What's going on?" And my wife's like, "He sees something." I'm like, "Look at that! What is that? It's got a Nissan badge.
There's
in it.
a Ford up there. He's got to see."
And I'm weaving in and out of traffic to get up next to it, and I saw the Nissan Terra. That thing is cool. That is a cool
And it's a great
SUV.
And it's definitely it's the third generation Xterra. When you see it, it's Xterra all day long. But it would make sense the financial troubles they're in, other than it passing crash standards here, it makes perfect sense to bring that thing here. It's basically built on the same platform that the Frontier is. There's not a lot of change to it other than it gets a diesel, and we, obviously we don't like diesels as well as the rest of the world. But
that truck,
like when you see
that truck with a 3.8 and the 9-speed transmission would be an absolute home run in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially right now, like the off-road and overland market is such a huge thing right now.
But remember, I said Nissan and timing.
Yes.
Nissan has the worst timing.
In 2000,
is this a good time to do it? Let's wait.
Yeah, 2031, they're going to be like, we're going to bring out an overland model.
Yeah, we hear overlanding's big.
But no, I saw that thing, and it was the right size. It seemed like it had the right wheelbase, the right dimensions, the right everything to be a competitive over Toyota 4Runner competitor. And it looked super cool. I was really.
4Runner has no competitor right now. Like for that segment, there's really no competitor to it, and that's why Toyota's been like, we'll change it when we do.
Yeah, there's no rush to change it. Like, it still has the old 4-liter 5-speed.
But I think you could technically throw the Wrangler at the 4Runner as a competitor. With the Wrangler,
I don't think so. I don't think so because they're two different. Like the people that want the 4Runner are this sounds horrible, but they're a little classier. They want something that they can. No, they want something that they can feel like they've got an off-road vehicle, and I've seen enough of these overlanders to know that they go roll them as soon as they get them. But I think the people that buy
those mall curves are pretty steep, all right.
But people that buy a Wrangler, there's a lot of soccer moms that buy them, but you know what it's capable of from the get-go.
But with Jeep owners is they have the most capable truck, but they never test the capabilities.
I'm just
because everybody wants to look cool.
I'm just saying in the 4-door SUV market, right? If you were just checking boxes on the CarMax website, the Wrangler 4-door SUV, hardtop 4-door SUV could be a competitor against the Wrangler.
Someone visual point of perspective, those are probably the two, we'll call it masculine or strongest body line vehicles out there right now. And I've been looking a ton because my wife wants to get rid of the Armada and get a mid-size SUV that's tough, that might be able to tow a little bit,
Bronco,
and I don't like anything.
Bronco.
And I can't buy a Toyota.
Bronco.
Yeah, I tried to talk her into a Bronco, and she's like, "I don't like that." I'm like, "I don't like you." And then,
so if I can't get my wife to get the Bronco, I am going to be pushing for a 4Runner. That will be my second.
Yeah.
My second.
Well, in another year they get a new truck in another year. So I was at some Toyota press conferences for that, but I will say, like, as that we were talking about the Terra, like it's a package. Nissan loves repackaging things from other countries. Look at the Kicks, was made for the Brazilian market. The Juke was really made for the European market that they just brought here for a bit. As cheap as Nissan is, it fits their to a T. It fits what Nissan does. And so I really do. They're great about keeping surprises, even though we got that picture. And all the Japanese companies they really are. Like, they don't slip things out till they want it out. Ford and all these guys with all their spy photos where they're paying somebody to sit out there and take the picture because they just want the advertising.
Like the drunk girl party. I don't want to tell you something, but I'm gonna tell you anyway.
I can trust you, right?
I don't know what you're referring to.
I've never done this before.
I can't tell you.
But the Japanese companies don't let those secrets out till they really want them out. So, and I've seen here in the States, I've seen by the plant, they used to have the Navaras running up and down the roads because they were testing them. And so for you to see it out there, it makes total sense that you would see one.
Yeah. Look, man, we've been from a Nissan perspective, our experience with Matt and the way he drives his Frontier, we bag on everybody's trucks just because of that's what we do. I mean, you guys know that, but
sure.
But seriously, that Frontier has been awesome. I
want to say bulletproof, but I don't want to jinx it. But I really drive that thing really hard.
Hey, the only thing about
I drive it to work every day.
Just no wheel spin, and you're happy. Like, when you get into obstacles, as long as you stay out of that throttle, you'll never bust a diff. That's a common weakness in that thing. If you just stay out of the throttle, no wheel hop, you're good.
I'm doomed.
Yeah,
I'm doomed.
Matt has two speeds. Matt has two speeds. Not moving forward. Not moving forward. Yeah, he's got a binary pedal on that thing. There's no analog, whatever.
Exactly. It's all or nothing.
Fortunately, the Ronin MTX tires we have on that thing are all grip all the time. I mean, that's one thing we've said. His stock Frontier with those tires,
not all the time. Not all the time.
Except for when you're trying to
take that traction control right off.
Yeah.
You know what? That's going to be, I still have like 40,000 miles on my, 100,000 mile warranty as far as my drivetrain. So I'm going to push that. What
year's your truck again? I can't remember.
18.
Oh God, it's so fresh.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Can you say that again? It sounds so fresh. It's so fresh.
It's the same thing as the one you got in your driveway, dude. I mean,
it is. It really is. So my truck, I just got an uprev tune on it, right? So, and this is some stuff that I've just been doing on my channel. I got an AFE exhaust catback, AFE intake. I got an uprev tune, and then I sent the uprev tune out to Z1, and I said, make it spicy. And then I said, I'd also like a ridiculous tune. So if you can give me the spicy and then the ridiculous, maybe blow it up. And he said, we can give you the spicy, but we'll see about the ridiculous. I'm like, all right, cool. So tomorrow I'm going to be putting in the super spicy tune. And so I have the regular, like, decent tune in it, right? It takes into account a little bit of the stuff. And then I did data log, sent it out. And now I have the spicy tune, which I have to put in tomorrow. I'm going to be shooting a YouTube video on it. But let me just tell you, dude, that truck woke up crazy just with the intake and exhaust.
He doesn't need that. He doesn't need that.
Yeah, he's all
shut up,
ridiculous.
We're trying to sell parts here, man. Come on now.
I'm so excited for the spicy tune because
he needs that.
When I get up into like 3,000 RPMs, that thing just starts screaming and it starts smashing, and like, I know I'm gonna break my truck.
You're
like,
gonna blow it up, dude.
It's sad. It's like 100,000 miles. I just changed the oil, thinking that might help. It's not gonna help.
It's not gonna help, dude.
It's not gonna help because I'm like, I'm just 90, like, oh, this is gonna make a great YouTube video, and I just know
you put 91 octane in it, thinking that's gonna fix something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what's great is you start talking about like I want it spicy, and it's like you're talking about like the secret menu, and it just reminds me like when you go to maybe it's In-N-Out or some drive-through, and you're like, I would like and you're not so sure it's a real thing, but you're like, I would like the spicy too. When you're at home, they're like, oh, what do you? Bro, you're like, uh-oh. Yeah, exactly. You're either like, wait a minute, you said the secret words right in the right order, and they're gonna give it to you, and you're like, oh yeah, and then you think about it. Wait a minute, maybe I didn't want.
And then
that.
you have to fall back. You have to
like,
fall back and say, "What's my
spicy?"
safe word? What's my safe word?"
They say, you want spicy? You go, yeah, and they go, are you sure? I don't know. And you're driving home like, I think I made a bad decision. And then when you're done eating, you're like, I definitely made a bad decision.
Exactly.
And you're thinking that.
With Danny in this tune too, like for some reason Z1, like you guys with Icon, Z1 has fallen in love with us for some odd reason, man. And they're sending Danny all this like tune. Hey, let us try this tune. Let's do this, man.
Yeah. They're getting into off-road stuff for Nissan, and they're really all about it. And they've been great. There's a couple guys down there that have been really cool. So Z1 Off-Road he's been hooking me up and working with me really well. So I'm very happy to work with them. So it's exciting because I never really got into the power mods. The truck has more than enough power for what I did for the most part. But now I'm on YouTube and I want to do exciting stuff. And I've never been down the road. And part of it is like, I know my race truck, I'm going to tune the piss out of my race truck. And it has straight headers to 3-inch exhaustive mufflers that are about the size of a soda can and then dumps right before the exhaust. Like it is so loud. It makes your ears hurt. Like my neighbors hate me.
For other reasons, not just the card. For other reasons, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That was before he even brought the Xterra home.
Oh no, you should have seen his front yard at one point. He had like 2 Z's in his front yard, this red truck, the Armada.
They hate and love me. But the yellow Xterra that I used to race with, he claimed that he had 300 horsepower to the rear wheel. And he had a AEM tuner, he had it tuned. I think that was a little bit much. He said he got it detuned to 270 to the rear wheel. I might be willing to accept that, but at the same time, for 4-liter V6, it's extremely respectable, without putting cams and stuff like that. And he had a bigger throttle body, and he basically straight piped, and like I said,
it's like you're talking dirty to me right now. Keep going.
Why is Matt sweating and breathing really hard?
Talk about your pipes again. What?
We know it's not the treadmill in the background.
No.
You mean the laundry holder?
Show.
That's the laundry
that's
holder.
I show right there.
He's usually got a Steve Garvey jersey hanging up there.
Usually I try and cover that with a Steve Garvey jersey, but I was late today.
But yeah, anyways, that I don't even know where I was going with all that, but I'm having a lot of fun.
That's what I do is I distract and I throw out tangents and I just ruin broadcast.
First place.
So you're the Danny of my show then, because that's what Danny. I'll have some serious news I want to talk about, and Danny's like a squirrel that just sees something and he's like, boom! All of a sudden it's like somewhere else. I'm like,
you know what?
15 minutes later, you're like, where did my show go?
Yeah,
like, how did we get here?
They give me a hard time about being the harbinger of fun, like the mood killer. But I've got
fun police.
Matt.
It's the fun police. You are the
fun police.
I got Matt, who is the squirrel all over the place. I've got Jose, who's like the automotive knowledge Rain Man, and I'm trying to make it all work together in one cohesive piece.
But see, my automotive Rain Man and squirrel is Danny.
I was a BMW mechanic once.
Wow.
Drink.
Okay. Oh, so you're a millionaire or what?
So guys, I mean, I feel like we're coming up on 2 hours. I feel like we could probably talk for another 4 hours and still have a good time.
Save that for the fire pit.
Yes,
that's it.
Absolutely. Yes. What's next?
Next weekend.
Yeah. Cancer. You're not feeling good. Tell your friends in Vegas you can't make it. Come out with us.
Yeah.
This will release Thursday. They won't hear it till Friday. By that time, it'll be too late. We're on the trail. But what's coming up next? I mean, you guys have made the switch from the Nissan Nation podcast to the productions. You're doing more YouTube stuff. What kind of things do you see on the horizon that you're excited about?
Well, we know Frontier is coming. So the plan is like every little YouTuber goes and buys a Lamborghini or something. You want to be the first to go get something. So we know that's the plan for us, is to be one of the first to have it, and basically just from day one start ripping the truck apart and making it a lot better. And that's the goal for it. We switched from podcast to productions just because we felt like it was limiting our audience. Because people, they search on YouTube, they just see podcasts and they're like, they move on.
Yeah.
Like they don't realize that, there's, people are squirrels. They really are. They're like 15 seconds and they're on to something else.
Yep.
So that,
for that reason, I own multiple URLs with the Trail Chasers something or other, because down the road.
Dude, we're totally, Cody, we're the same person, aren't we, Danny? Because Danny, Danny's like, how many URLs you own this week?
My wife, dude, I can't. Every time she sees a transaction from GoDaddy, I get scolded because it'll be 11 o'clock at night. I'll wake up at 11 o'clock at night with an idea, and I'm like, that's the greatest idea I've ever had in my life. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm on GoDaddy banging out URLs. I just spent $42 on 3 different URLs that a year from now is going to expire because I didn't do anything with them.
Oh, no, but
I've gotten a lot more trouble spending $42. I'll tell you that. $42 on URLs. Wow. What a rebel. Dude, you better apologize, I guess. What?
Jeez.
But as far as
sir,
what URLs are they?
First of all,
you don't want to know, dude. He sends us some of these ideas and it's like
Notlong.com.
Well, that's the worst. Because I'll think it's the greatest idea in the world, and I'll share it with these guys, and they're like, "No, it's stupid."
Right.
Whatever.
Our shows are so much alike.
Yeah, you guys.
Our shows are so much alike. But as far as the end game is, we want to do more reviews. Nissan right now has probably shut the door on us for getting press fleet cars right now. I don't know why, but they probably have. But we really do want to bring more content. We actually do like reporting on the brand, and we we clearly will call them out. Like you've heard us just talking to you guys. Like if we feel like they're on the wrong path. Not that our voice is that strong, but we will call you out on it. And when you guys do something great, we will, give it our blessing kind of thing. But we want to do that. Obviously, me and Danny just do stupid trips from time to time. We want to start filming more of that stuff. Really amp our production level up. I mean, somebody was bitching the other day about hey, there was wind noise in your mic, and you're like, hey, dude, I'm a one-man show here. Like, let me
wind noise.
Yeah, I
was breathing, dude. I'm trying to survive. I can't breathe around my microphone. Jesus. Hey, don't listen to our podcast. I'm sorry, Cody, Jose. Don't listen to our podcast if you don't like hearing me breathe. Because I just want to live.
Just trying to live over there.
Right.
But we like reviews, stupid trips. Obviously, like I said, the Frontier, we want to be the first to monkey with that thing, and just adventure in these vehicles. I think more than anything, that's what me and Danny like to do. Is just we could do how-tos and all that, but that's not in my bag of fun. It's not fun filming something for 5 hours that you get 5 minutes of content with. And then there's always that internet troll that goes, well, you should have used the 3/8 ratchet. Why didn't you do this? Or, the dumbest things. And then it just stirs up a beast. So we just like showing what we do. Like the Juke exhaust that I put on the thing. I could have done a video on how to install a stupid exhaust, but why?
Yeah.
There's a million people doing it, and we want to be us.
Yeah. And you know what, we have very, very lofty plans, and if we were to hit 3/4 of them or even 1/4 of them, we're gonna have some really, really fun stuff. We've already done some stuff. Like I did some unique rides. We're interviewing guys with really cool trucks. I went up to King of the Hammers with a good buddy from Colorado, and was able to do a little walk around with his truck, and then I went and followed him on a trail and ended up just smashing my bedside. But, those are the kind of the fun stuff. And we want to bring kind of the entertainment as well as, some fun news and whatnot. And so we're working really hard to bring part entertainment and part, good quality content that you might be able to take something away from other than a good laugh.
Yeah, like Danny was saying, we want to come to you and in our audience, and we want to, if you've modified your vehicle, let us test drive it. We want to give an honest opinion of what we think. Did it do well? Would we have done this? Would we have not? At the end of the day, we love it because it's a Nissan thing, but our part of our plan is to do that. Like Danny's done some test video stuff for it with Cody in those trucks of
yeah,
so we want to do it with race cars too.
It's
not just truck.
Yeah, that was the first solid axle swamp Xterra that I ever drove. And it was a total blast. I had that thing all crossed up and it was fun. But even I'd like to bring a lot of my stuff that it's on my channel over to Dave's channel as well. We kind of cross pollinate. My channel is more, I do a lot of just, it's a little bit more vlog style. It's just what's going on in my garage. Eventually I think I'm going to do a lot more with the pod or the Nissan Nation Productions with my stuff as well. But I have the race truck, and in truth, I'm in talks with my sponsor to try and get this thing for the final push to get it racing. And that stuff will probably be mostly on the Nissan Nation Productions, because this is me and Dave's baby. This is what we've worked so hard for 5 years for. And yeah, I'll vlog on my channel to keep, what's going on. But in truth, the Nissan Nation Productions is our baby together. And with both of us, on the different sides of the country, you get a lot more from different perspectives. Dave has a lot of, what's going on in factory stuff and what he's doing and reviewing vehicles and stuff like that. What's coming. And I have a little bit more of on the side of, exciting race stuff, or, I'm doing fatty burnouts in my Frontier, hopefully in a week, so we're really doing our very best to bring fun content. And that's what we do. And we're going to, and literally we're getting better at it every video. If you go back and watch some of our early stuff, we're learning a lot, and production value and technology that we have is coming along really quickly. So we're excited about what the next year is coming, because it's showing in the numbers. We have a ton of people watching, and we have a ton more joining every day, and so we're really stoked on how well it's.
And too, like when we made our big push to get funded for YouTube, I mean, we appreciate you guys went out of your way to push us a little bit. We appreciate stuff like that, and we want to do the same for you guys. And literally, like basically, if you're doing something in Nissan or just off road, I don't care. We want to help the community grow, and ultimately, that's me and Danny's goal. Like you were saying earlier, that I looked and I didn't think there was much of a community for the Frontier. Like I'm not going to be like, hey, I am the god of Nissan off-road. Like, I'm here to help everyone, but we want to shed some light on it. And maybe if we've excited a handful of people that may have never purchased Nissan vehicles to go, hey man, these guys were cool. They were just having fun in their vehicles. I want to do that too. It's an affordable truck versus maybe the Toyota or something else. I think at the end of the day, man, it's gold for us,
Yeah, no, I everything you guys just said it resonates, across the board with trying to provide content and inspire people and do stuff. And the comment about how your technology and the video quality and all that stuff's getting better. I mean, we look back at the first episodes. I cringe at at episodes 1 through 24, right? And then we think about like when Matt first came on and trying to figure that out, and then Jose. It's funny. You can see where, like, you can hear where Jose for the first couple episodes wasn't sure where to put himself in the conversation, and now he's like a pit bull. He's like, whatever, I'm going to step in and shut you down. But all of that is growth. All of that is we are going to continue to do this and get better every time. And now the video stuff, to you guys' point, there's a lot of technology involved there. And the first couple live feeds we did was just a shit show. It was an absolute shit show. And we've been fortunate.
This episode,
we've been fortunate to have some people step in, like in the form of EVGA with the technology and some of the other sponsors we have to help.
Wait, Danny, write that down. Write their name down. What was it?
I'm in a race truck in my garage, Dave. What am I going to write on it?
Yeah. Well, so speaking of that, so we built a new production computer, and as of this weekend, Matt and Jose each have a production level quality computer at their house.
Nice.
And now we just got to show Matt where the power button is, and then see what happens.
How to get onto the internet. I got to figure out how to get onto the internet with it.
He's still
And once that happens, the magic, like all the quality content that's been holding me back, it'll be unleashed. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, it sounds like us a few episodes back. Like I was trying to do live streams on my MacBook, and you talk about like that poor. I swear it cooked a hole in my desk. Like it was getting so hot.
Yes.
That was the computer in Cody's office.
Yeah, we had.
I thought it was going to take off and fly because the fan wouldn't shut up.
Yeah, the one behind here, we used to call it the Chernobyl event.
Chernobyl event. That means get out of there,
It would
guys.
sit
Cover
under
your
the desk.
Hold on to your precious jewels. Like
Well, at one
something's
point,
happening.
that computer, the fan was under the desk, and it was facing me where I sit, and it was like
man.
Christmas every time we'd record, because that thing, it got super hot.
There's sweat.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Jose had a special glow at the end of every episode.
Am I sunburned?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing he's already had a kid, because the radiation that was emitted out.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
never having another kid. He's done.
But if you had one now, it could have special powers.
Superpowers.
I've seen a lot of movies,
It's
and
the
that's
first
how it
X-Men.
happens.
Well,
Oh, man.
let me tell you. Let me say this. I know we got to eventually run this down, or else we just sit here and chat for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the things that I think I love so much about what we've done so far, and what we're doing, and what you guys are doing, and the environment that we're doing it is, like, I have met the coolest, most fun, most like-minded people across the board. And I've always I want to always encourage other people, whether you're doing a podcast or you're just, in kind of hitting us up on whether it's YouTube, Instagram, whatever, messaging us, asking questions. We try and answer as much and as many questions as we can on any forum, DMs, sliding up into my DMs or whatever. But I enjoy that. I enjoy steering people in the right direction. And on top of that, getting new people out. Dave's went Windrock every year with the Nissan. There's so many new people that always come out there, leading trails and getting them spun up and starting them into this world of off-roading and camaraderie and stuff like that. And that's what I live for. Like I said earlier in the show, I'm a people person, and I love, you guys now, you're on my list of people that I have to go and share a campfire with. It has to happen. It's like you guys got bucket listed for me. So you guys are literally an hour and a half away from me. So now
is that your porn name, Danny?
Bucket list?
I'm gonna bucket list again.
No, I think Matt's.
You guys don't want to go with Danny.
No.
Power Rock, we're gonna bucket list it.
Wait, do I have an option to get bucket listed, or is it just happening to me?
Is there a safe word, or
either enjoy it or sob yourself into oblivion?
Oh, hey, and Danny, to that, one last little story here. So we flew Danny out to East Tennessee, where I put on my event, and Danny being SoCal dude, you guys have the greatest weather in the world, man. So even though we do this in September here in Tennessee, for us, altitude where this is at is about 4,000 feet. I mean, it's a little bit of altitude compared to, I'm around 600 feet. So Danny comes out literally, I guess, in SoCal gear of just a hoodie and his pants and a backpack and dreams, and we get the campfire going, and we're all having beers, and you see Danny
I thought
just
you
over there.
said dreams. I'm sorry. He came out with his dreams.
That's
one of Cody's
cuts. That's what it was.
But you see Danny, we're at the fire drinking beers, and Danny, you just start seeing him shivering, and he's like, so where am I staying tonight? And we're like, well, you're in the rape cabin. He's like, what? I was like, no. And what it is at Windrock Park, there's this bush cabin. No, it's just platforms and this cabin. And they were like, oh, you're staying with this guy Kevin. And he's like looking at Kevin, and Kevin just kind of gives him the little wink, when we're saying rape cabin.
We've all done it.
Totally his first trip out here, he's like, what the hell did I just get my? It's East Tennessee for one, so everybody thinks
if you pictured a rape cabin, that he wasn't joking, dude. It was I slept on a wooden box with some random guy in like a wood hut in the middle of like the forest. And that was after the moonshine, which I tried first in Tennessee, and it
the least you could do is remember that guy's name, and I find that a little upsetting. You spend that much time with him.
If you're gonna spoon with a man,
his name started as Kevin. Now it's Kevin Bear.
If you spoon a man, you need to remember his name.
Better.
That's just etiquette. Yeah, I think CPT Pack Rat 1 just said that we need to do a TC NNP Rogue overland trip. We need to do. I've got a couple trips mapped out that I want to do, like epic trips through Big Bear and all the way out to the other side of the mountain, or through the desert. I mean, I would be down with getting something like that put together and get a bunch of
those guys like Rogue Overland. Like, I've never seen anybody organize a trip the way they do it ever. They are nuts, how like to the minute, like isn't it, Danny? Like, we're like, we got to go now. You're like,
it's brilliant.
No,
really?
Okay. So look, I can show, when we're done recording, I will show you the itinerary. Shut up, Jose.
Shut up.
No,
you shut up. Do I have to follow that itinerary? Because I may not like that.
I will email you the itinerary and maps and all of the information that I'm about to provide these Mamba Jammas, and they will, the minute we hit asphalt, we hit asphalt, they go out of their way to screw the whole thing up.
No. How many U-turns? How many U-turns do we have to go through?
Shut up. I need to mute Matt. I need to mute. As soon as
you don't have any U-turns in your itinerary. You don't have. I just muted
you. I just muted you. You can't hear me now. I swear to you, it's as if Matt and Jose get the itinerary, print it out, and go, okay, where do you want to mess with him? Because I think we can stretch this part out, and he says we're gonna stop here for 15 minutes. We're gonna stop there for 45 minutes. That's what we're gonna do, right?
So there's an alternative itinerary that they work up on you.
Oh yeah, dude. There's a
real itinerary.
Yeah.
So in full total honesty, I do the itinerary for me. It makes me feel comfortable. Like, I map everything out. It makes me feel comfortable so that I know if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I can find my way back because I'm lost all the time.
Yes, he's directionally challenged.
I am horrible.
100%. Like, you could show him a compass and explain how it works. Doesn't matter,
dude. For the longest time,
clock.
For the longest time, and I've mentioned this before, so Matt's going to give me for a long portion of my life. North was whatever direction I was facing. I thought, like,
I'm a land surveyor. You're breaking my heart, man. Killing me.
East and west was just another way to say left and right.
And what's really sad is, with that knowledge, we still follow him. That's what's effed up. Because I still follow that guy.
True. He must know where he's going.
Hey, he printed out an itinerary. I guess the least I could do.
Like, he's got a printer, so he knows something, right?
Man.
I need to be on this trip.
Dude.
Man, I can't believe it's not. The road guys are not all of them, but half the road guys are the guys I was planning on headed out this weekend with.
Yeah.
All right.
Those guys do. I interviewed them. We should probably have them back on, because I think they were like episode 4 or something, like super early on in the show.
Oh wow!
And they've grown so much since then. But they're awesome guys. All right, guys. Yeah. So we're at 2 hours. This has been a lot of freaking fun. I mean, I knew going into it.
Good times.
Yeah, I knew going into it, just knowing your guys' personalities, it was going to be a good time. But I think it was a lot more fun than even I expected it to be. And if we can find a way to get ourselves on the trail, I think that would be a hell of a good time. So we gotta fly Dave out to Southern California and get him out in the desert somewhere, and we'll go wheeling for a handful of days.
I think it's only like an hour and a half for him to drive from where he's at.
We have our version of the rape cabin over here.
Oh, well, between the quick trip from Danny and the lack of knowledge where we would be going, I'm a little nervous to want to fly out there.
Dave gets real nervous without plans.
Yeah, no,
which is perfect. So he'll come out just teeth chattering, and I'll make everything just right.
Yeah, you should.
We'll be gentle.
Nobody should ever follow me through the desert. I'm saying it right now. I know you're going to do it. You guys always do it, but no one should ever follow me through the desert.
Nice.
So, hey, everybody, look. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said I'm in.
All right. I'm in too. Let's So everybody, if you're not already following the Nissan Nation Productions YouTube page and Dagroot X, go find them on YouTube, subscribe, help them build their numbers up. You guys follow the Nissan Nation podcast, or and everything they're doing on the social media stuff to help them build up that revenue stream for the YouTube page, and look for an opportunity. Like I said, seriously, down the road, guys, I would love to do a collaboration with you guys and figure out a way to do an event. Oh, speaking of collaboration, real quick, we have a Nissan Frontier mountain hatch to give away. So the backstory there, I don't know if you guys know it. Mountain Hatch made they're the tailgate inserts. They made mountain hatches for everything under the sun except the Nissan, and we guilted them into making one for Matt's truck.
We did. We actually guilted them.
We literally.
I kind of feel bad about it.
We guilted them into it.
I also wear it like a badge.
Yes, and Fred and Greg over at Mountain Hatch are fantastic. We've wheeled with those guys before. They make a great product. So we have a Nissan Frontier mountain hatch to give away. And I got to believe that you have probably a larger audience of Frontier listeners than we do.
That's pretty optimistic.
So I would say we need to figure out, here's what we'll do.
We're going to do a calendar.
No, we're not doing a calendar. We're not doing a calendar.
No
podcasting.
We go follow the Nissan Nation. Go subscribe to the Nissan Nation Productions.
Where?
On YouTube. Go follow Nissan Nation Productions on YouTube, and screenshot it and email it to Cody@trailchasers.net. No, email it to thetrailchasers@gmail.com. So go follow the Nissan Nation Productions. If you're already subscribed to it, go show that you're subscribed, screenshot it, email it to thetrailchasers@gmail.com. And today's May 18th, and on June 1st, we'll do a drawing from any of the Nissan Frontier subscriptions we get. People, so go follow these guys, screenshot it, email it to thetrailchasers@gmail.com. And then
how many pictures of the subscribe button are you actually going to get, and what kind of other pictures are you going to get?
I just want pictures that shows you have subscribed to the.
There's going to be shadows of dicks in the background.
A picture of just a little nut hanging in it.
Hey, those
are my favorite pictures to take, by the way. Just like right in the corner.
If you make these pictures really interesting and like really awkward, like we're gonna throw something in too. So.
We'll throw a shirt or hat in.
Guys,
the more awkward, the better.
So bad right now.
You're welcome.
Wow.
I was trying to get away with just a simple contest, and now I'm gonna be.
And that's
I'm
Cody at Trail Chasers.
No, the trailchasers@gmail.com. Send it to the other account. Trailchasers@gmail.com. You guys suck so bad.
There it is.
So, well, guys, seriously, this has been a hell of a good time. Thanks for coming on. I know we've talked about it a couple of times. It was a really good time, and I'm looking forward to doing more stuff with you guys. We'll be following you on all your channels, and looking for opportunities to get together in the future. And let us know how everything goes. And when you've got some Nissan news to break, Matt will be waiting with bated breath, trying to find out what's. I don't know. You never know he won't, because he won't buy a new one. He's gonna love his. He's gonna stick with his old one.
Not until I break mine. Like
Danny,
I said,
go wheel with him. Go wheel with him. Break that thing.
He ain't gonna break it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. You have a great night.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate all of it.